Oh, yes, we are jamming. It is still a victory Monday, and you have tuned in to the Fanatical Elves Network. I'm John, and we are celebrating the Browns' takedown of those Ratbirds. No, not the Ravens, the frickin' Ratbirds. Oh, have you had a good day, Browns fans? Hasn't it just been glorious from the moment the sun came up? And even when it went down tonight, we are still celebrating as we should. The Browns have only gotten to this mark of 6-3. I think I added it up about 7 times in the last 36, 37 years. A few of those times happened back in the day, back in those mid 80s. Oh, yes. Don't we miss those moments when the Browns had Marty Schottenheimer as head coach? Those great teams. You know, they were pretty good. I know I've talked about this before on this network. They were pretty good. We all loved Bernie, and we still love Bernie. But really, realistically, you go back and look, and you just the idea of what the world would have been like back in the day if those teams, if we had social media like we are now, like if we had this podcast, there was nothing like a podcast back in 1986. It's so, it's just the idea. These things are funny, but the Browns, they've reached this point at 6-3 about 7 times. Actually, one of the last times before, Stefanski's been here before. Old Steady Eddie. Yep, he's got in here before back in 2020, which is a good sign. The Browns actually ran off 4 straight. They were 5-2, lost the game, then bounced back and won the next 4. They beat I mentioned this before. They beat the Texans, the Eagles, the Jaguars, and oh, that's right. And then they beat Tennessee in that 4th game where they kind of ran away from it in the first half. So the other guy that was in that mix as far as coaches that had gotten the Browns to this 6-3 record was, that's right, Mike Pedant. Yeah, remember him? 2014. Do you remember that season? Wow. Yeah, we all do. Brian Hoyer, actually, yes, that's right. Brian Hoyer helped lead the Browns to a really great start that year. And that also was when Johnny Manziel was still with the Browns. And the front office wanted to see Johnny play, and the rest is history. We all know how the season kind of panned out for that team. But that 2014 season was pretty good one for the Brownies. After that moment, all hell broke loose. We had some of the worst coaching of all time come through Cleveland in one Hugh Jackson. Oh my God. Let's not just, we'll avoid talking about Hugh, but now we're talking about good old Steady Eddie. And these Brownies, I'm telling you, Steady Eddie was awesome with his energy and his enthusiasm. You knew you had a fighter's chance yesterday in that game. I did, at least, watching him and the Browns. There was a variety of reasons we can all be excited about what we saw, from the tush push or whatever, the entire symbolic view of the Browns players pushing Jerome Ford virtually through the air for another 5 or 6 yards was really awesome. But I got fired up earlier in the third quarter, or might have been in the fourth quarter, when there was a play where the Browns had the the clock was marching down, the play clock, and it didn't get reset because there was some issues going on with the referees, and the Browns did get it clarified and fixed, but you could see immediately that it was really bothersome to Kevin because he got fired up, man. He said a few things to that ref. We don't normally see Steady Eddie be that emotional. And I knew at that moment, like, this guy is invested. This game and this moment was big, and he knew it, and he was fired up. When you talk to other coaches, you see coaches, when they start getting really emotional, it's usually because they know that their team is right there, that they have all the intangibles to make a great team. And so when they get perturbed, and in this case, I think Steady Eddie, knows that he has this very talented team, and things are coming together very nicely. It's been interesting since the game how some folks will want to, or some folks are saying about Deshaun Watson that he was brilliant and all this stuff. And I'm not, I'm not crowning him the um, franchise quarterback. There's been some debate between fan on both sides. Some saying, "Oh, now he's our franchise quarterback." Obviously, he's our franchise quarterback because we paid a god amount of money for the guy, so he is the franchise quarterback. But some people get annoyed with the whole idea of crowning him the franchise quarterback and suggesting that he is brilliant. And he did make some amazing throws and did some amazing things on the football field that have been analyzed a lot today. But it is one game. So I caution everybody again, we Browns fans should know this. It is one game, and it's a very big game. I saw people comparing this to be the second best game of Stefanski's tenure outside of the Browns playoff win against Pittsburgh back in 2020. I would argue that there are probably 5 or 6, 8 games that we could probably, and maybe we'll do that later in the week, that we can rate that as far as what games were the biggest and most important in Stefanski's favor. Obviously, this is a big win. I mean, all of us, we can talk about it endlessly here. I don't think any of us Browns fans thought after that horrible start when it was 14-0 in a blink of an eye. My God. The kid threw the interception, and that alone, that separates why that game was really awesome for just Watson and the whole team at the end. Jerome Ford, Amari Cooper, all these other players that came up and did some great things. But that was a monumental mistake. The brilliance of what happened was that the team was able to overcome that horrible mistake by Watson. It was just a terrible thing. It was a lazy pass, and he threw it right into the hands of a 6'4" cornerback safety in Hamilton. So it's not the way that the Browns anticipated the game getting off. None of us did. It was 14-0. It was 12 and a half minutes to go in the game. So kudos to the Browns for fighting back. That defense of the Browns was brilliant, just brilliant. Garrett, given a sack and a half, again, now has 11, I believe, on the season, and we've only gone through 9 games, just having a fantastic year. Let's hear it for Greg Newsome. Never had an interception in his NFL career. He rarely I think he had 1 interception when he played at Northwestern. He's not the kind of cornerback that grabs the interceptions. He's had opportunities, but hadn't really done anything in that department. But he came up huge yesterday, late in that game, to then what we thought would be a tying extra point, which made the game even more excruciating for Browns fans when he missed the extra point. Lord have mercy, Dustin Hopkins, how did you do that? But that the if you go back and you watch the game on replay, and when I watched it in real time, that touchdown the Browns scored early on in the third quarter. I don't know when they got to 17. No, I think they did the 2-point conversion there, but the touchdown that got him to 31-24, one of the extra points, he pulled it left as well. And I thought, oh man, that's not a good sign, because usually Hopkins is like right down the middle of the uprights. But anyway, he missed it, but he came back and did what he needed to do. And he's a professional. Boy, that kid has done so much for the Brownies this year. So much. So many people to talk about, and so much praise. Let's go ahead and pause for a commercial break here. We are the Fanatical Elves Network. Again, thanks for following us on Apple on Spotify. That's what we really need you guys to do. So if you're watching us here on the X or on YouTube, we need you to go over to Apple. We need you to go over to Spotify. We need you to click the follow button because that's where we get the downloads and that's where we get the big bucks, folks. We need the big bucks. It's more like a penny here and a penny there. So, but we really, we gained 85 new followers on just the X yesterday. So thank you so much. Our downloads have shot up dramatically over the last couple of months. This month, we're 40% more downloads than we were the previous month, and every month prior to that, we've been gaining. So we can't do it without your support. So thank you so much for following us. Spread the love. Tell folks about how much passion we as Browns fans on this podcasting platform share out. And we're like you guys. We talk about the Browns the same way you do. We have the same conversations wherever you work or whatever you do during the week after games with your friends or colleagues at work. We have those same conversations. We're wearing our Browns gear today and wearing my Cavs hat. I've had this Cavs hat for a long time. Stories that we can talk about there. But let's pause for a break. Weren't we going to pause for a break like a minute ago? By the way, we're going to announce the winner of the t-shirt giveaway. I know some of you have tuned in to find out if you're going to win that t-shirt. We'll announce that shortly after the break. So stay tuned. We are the Fanatical Elves Network. Oh, did you like those commercials? We are the Fanatical Elves Network, and that's right, Victory Monday, and we are celebrating. Can we just party like it's 1999 the rest of the week? It got me thinking today too. Nick Chubb, he got injured in the game in week 2 against the Steelers. Now, some will talk, and I think it's going to be a conversation piece a lot as we go into this game against Pittsburgh. I think it'll be sort of a motivational piece that the Browns, I think privately or maybe publicly, they'll talk about it, the players. But it was such a gruesome injury that happened to Nick Chubb, and there's been some debate about how that play went down. And there's still some people that hold a lot of anger, Browns fans, about what took place and how like I just said, the injury happened. It was a bang bang play. There was an additional Pittsburgh Steeler defender that went low. Chubb's leg got, tangled up. So I'm gonna stay out of the conversation of which side I necessarily fall on. I think football is a hard sport. It's brutal, it's aggressive, it's physical, and it's mean. If you want to talk about dirty plays, and I'm not saying that play was necessarily dirty. I will, though, talk about the Ratbirds for a moment before we move on and talk more about Nick Chubb. What the Ratbirds did, I mean, they're a bunch of they are lousy. I'm calling them Ratbirds because I don't give that organization any respect. We've talked about it before the game on this platform, on this network. That organization, Art Modell stole the Browns and took them to create the Ratbirds. And that group of players, so many of them are just dirty. They're coached dirty by a coach that's probably dirty. Obviously, he's a Harbaugh. They're pulling at guys' legs in when guys are going down in groups and huddles. They're pulling at Browns players on the backside. How many times did you see that in the game yesterday? I saw it at least 3 or 4 times where Ravens players are tactfully going into these huddles and pulling these guys out after the play is over, trying to do stupid stuff and trying to injure Browns players, or the head hunting and the extra hits on Denzel Ward after, just going in just full blown, or the play at the end of the game where Queen, the linebacker, whatnot for the Ravens, in that amazing run by Watson late in that last drive. Go back and watch that highlight a few times. Where does Queen go to tackle him? He could have tackled him a bazillion other places, but he went high and he took that arm of his and he hooked it right inside that Watson's neck, right below the helmet base. And Watson took a bit to get kind of reorganized there for a moment. If you remember, that was a brutal and nasty and dirty hit. I know it's football, but those Ravens, those Ratbirds, they don't get any of my respect ever. So Nick Chubb, went out in week 2 against the Steelers, and that really had uh, put a damper early on in the Browns season. Now we're approaching week 11. Season goes by. I tell you, the NFL just goes by so quickly, doesn't it not? Yeah, it's crazy. But the season really turned at that moment for the Browns. And the Browns have had to sort of recollect themselves and figure out what kind of team they are. And it's pretty impressive. You wonder, obviously, Nick Chubb, what he would do to help make this team even better. But considering what we've seen, I think they ran the ball again yesterday for 170, 180 yards as a team. Again, I'm going to say it. I mean, some of you Browns fans who are so nitpicky right now and talking about how 2 or 3 yards a pop isn't going to cut it in the NFL, folks, you're 6-3, and these running backs are cutting it. Now, I don't know what happened to Pierre Strong. I do think the Village Elliott, who's one of our hosts here on the Fanatical Elves Network, he's going to have a show about Pierre Strong. Pierre Strong, little used running back. Seemed like he was getting some momentum the last couple of games, but they did not play him at running back at all yesterday. Kareem Hunt, Jerome Ford, and Deshaun Watson used his legs quite a bit in a positive way. So that was all that was needed. They ran really well. Ford had 107 yards on 17 carries. Kareem Hunt had 10 carries. So they've been kind of getting about, a pretty good amount of production, 30 carries between all three of those guys, 35 carries. So all good there. Lots to look forward to this week. Just enjoy the rest of the week. This is a victory week, right? It's not just victory Monday, it's victory week for all of us. We have a great opportunity against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Squealers are going to be coming in. I don't know how the hell they're 6-3. I'll be on one of the Fanatical Elves. No, I'll be on the Fans First Sports Network, which helps support the Fanatical Elves network, with them on the Steel Network, Steel Curtain Network, I think with Jeff Hartman, who helps run the Steeler organization, part of the Fans First there. They're going to have a couple shows on later this week. We'll see if we can get a couple on our show here on one of our network shows, maybe the Johnny Cleveland show that I host later this week. So it's going to be a very busy week, but really enjoy beating the Ratbirds and moving on to play the Steelers. The environment down at the stadium is going to be skyrocketing. I just saw the weather forecast has been up and down and changing left and right in the last 2 days. Now they're saying up in Cleveland it's going to be in the 40s, which isn't horrible, but maybe a chance of showers, maybe a chance of a few snow flurries. So it should be a classic game. And, all these games with the Steelers are always intense. I'll have to think and see how I feel about giving you guys a prediction. Obviously, I think the Browns are going to win, but what the score will be, I'll have to give it some thought. But we'll talk about that maybe in our Johnny Cleveland show. Let's talk about a winner at our giveaway. So here is our winner. Again, thank you so much. We had, I want to say, let me look here. It was close to about 100 reposts on the giveaway. Again, we had, we've just really, we can't do this without you. So you guys reposting this, following our show always helps. So the winner of the Browns Dog Pound t-shirt this week is, drum roll please, It is Craig Saban, Craig at Craig Saban. He is a devoted Christ follower, husband of Allison, father of Nick and Natalie, lover of all things Cleveland sports. Looks like he's maybe in Indiana somewhere, according to his ex Twitter page. So, congratulations to Craig. You are the winner of the latest Dog Pound t shirt. We will be in contact with you shortly and get that shipped out to you. We'll have more giveaways later, maybe later this week. So stay tuned. Pay attention to Twitter or in the X. And again, thanks again. Um, thanks again. Thanks again. Thanks again. Okay. Um, Folks, that's it. That's all I got. That's all I got tonight. It's a Victory Monday. It's a late night Victory Monday show. It's about 10:45 here in the Buckeye State. But man, it just felt great all day. It is, right? You know, us diehard Browns fans, it's just, and to see all the celebrations across the country of various groups of Browns fans and Browns backers groups. You know, I lived in Kansas all those years, in Wichita, the Oz chapter, great group of friends, and I got family out there, and they were celebrating at their establishment, and so many other places. I saw some other groups in around the Cleveland area celebrating. So fun times. It's great being a Cleveland sports fan. Sometimes it's awful, but most times it's our passion and loyalty that keeps us coming back, and it keeps us strong because we appreciate the support amongst all of us fans. It's a rapport, and it's a feeling that you just have when you are a diehard Cleveland fan. So thanks again. Thanks for finding the Fanatical Elves Network. It's Victory Monday. The Browns beat those damn Ratbirds this week. Now it's on to play the Pittsburgh Squealers, and we'll have more on that later this week. Take care, everybody. Go Browns.